So now we're going to be looking at finding rate. Um, Rates are kind of familiar to us. We use them all the time, and you probably just aren't aware of it. But when you're driving in the car, you might be thinking about the kilometers per hour, the speed that you're traveling at. So again, that idea of kilometers per hour is the rate of how many kilometers you can travel in 1 hour. If you have a job or you're doing chores for your family, you might be asking how many dollars you're going to get paid per hour. So again, that's the number of dollars that you'd earn for every hour. That will also be a rate. If you're looking at statistics in sport, you might look at, a striker might have a certain number of goals per game on average. That would be the rate of the number of goals that they score usually in every game. And meters per second is another type of speed. So again, looking at the distance per time. How many meters can you travel in 1 second? So when we're doing these, it's basically like setting up a fraction and then simplifying it to find the decimal or the simplest fraction for it. And we're usually going to be looking to have time on the bottom, so it's usually going to be per time. Now that time might not always be minutes or hours or seconds. It could be things like a unit of game. So it's not always time. You can have rates that don't have time, but if you do have the time, you want to think about the fact that we're usually looking to put that on the bottom when we refer to it. So if we look at an example, Jonathan swims 50 meters in 30 seconds. How fast does he swim? So we're looking at his rate, because speed has to do with rate. And the rate we're looking for here then would be meters per second. So to do that, you can think about the word per being kind of like a divide. That's just going to be 50 divided by 30. You can also think about it as a fraction, 50 over 30. So that's meters per second. So if we do that, we get 5 over 3 meters over seconds. And that's also equal to 1 2/3 meters per second, or 1.66 recurring meters per second. Now, per, there's lots of ways we can write that. In words, we can say meters per second. We can use it as a fraction, meters per second. We can write it with a sideways fraction, and we can also say meters second to the negative 1. Because anything to a negative power will put it back into the denominator. You might not appreciate hearing that right now or seeing that right now, but if you do see a unit of the negative 1 there, that this says in words meters per second. That negative 1 basically makes it per second. So if we look at another example, Spencer drove 178 kilometers in 2 hours. How fast was he driving? Again, here we want to know kilometers per hour, so 178 divided by 2. We get 89 kilometers per hour, which we can also write is 89 kilometers per hour, or 89 kilometers hour to the negative 1. Any of those ways is fine for the unit. Sparky can eat 3 cupcakes in 2 minutes. What rate can she eat cupcakes at? So that's 3 cupcakes every 2 minutes. So that's going to be 1.5 cupcakes a minute, or per minute, I guess I should probably say per minute. So yeah, Sparky can eat 1.5 cupcakes every minute. She could probably eat a lot of cupcakes, but I'm guessing she would slow down if she started eating too many of them. You'd probably get sick at some point. But that would be the rate here of how fast Sparky can eat cupcakes. And once we know what the rate is, we can often use that for making calculations, so we'll look at that next.